Hey mamas, it's Dada.
Hey there, welcome back to my channel. I have been filming an induction series, and today we wanted to share our birth story with our daughter Sienna. She is 8.5 months old, and this is a family video apparently, but I thought that I would share our own induction story because, like I said, we are doing the series right now on induction, and I wanted to share our experience that we had with my birth story. We're just going to talk about how we were feeling and everything that happened from, I think, just the time of like labor really starting. Okay, so our labor story really started off with myself having prodromal labor from the time that I was 36 weeks and like, I think like 2 or 3 days pregnant or so, and I had been working, training clients and...
Is that the wrong color for her to have?
Probably. This is our current setup right now in the home office.
Stuffies. Can I trade you?
Yay! It's a cow!
Koala and a gray.
Okay, so prodromal labor started for me around the 36-week point, and I had been working, and I remember I started to feel cramps that were like kind of feeling like period cramps, and I had been having Braxton Hicks contractions for at least a couple of weeks leading up to this point that were just like continuously getting stronger, but those just felt more like a tightening of my belly than the actual like cramping that I was feeling. And I remember I was at work and they were just getting stronger and stronger to the point where I was like, like having just to like kind of take some deep breaths. And I was driving home, and in the car on the way home they were like continuing, and they were happening like every like 6 minutes or so, and I was like, okay, like this is definitely starting to get stronger. And I had gone home and I was just sitting in the nursery, and I was really starting to feel more of just like a kind of a crampy sensation, and I wasn't really sure if those like were contractions or if they were just like weird cramps that I was having. And I called my OB office, and they told me to come right in just to make sure that everything was okay and to see if I was like going into labor, since it would be like preterm. And by the time that I went in, I was still having the contractions. They hooked me up to fetal monitoring and saw that I was having contractions, but baby was happy, healthy, and thriving. My OB said that just, you know, based off of her heart rate, she was doing great and loving the contractions that I was having. So there was no concern there, and she did check my cervix, and I was only, I think, like barely a centimeter dilated or anything like that, and we just kind of ruled out that we would keep an eye on it. It ended up going away and then just slowly coming back. I was still having pretty consistent and regular contractions, and it turned out to just be prodromal labor for the next 4 weeks until I got induced. I'm just feeling so pregnant and uncomfortable. Still having little on and off, very small contractions today, but yep, my shirt won't even stay down. I'm just too pregnant. So we decided to have me get induced due to myself having gestational diabetes, and my doctor wanted me to be induced at the 40-week point. We tried everything to try to get baby out before that point, because I really did not want to be induced. And looking back on it now, I wish I would have done just some more research, because I think that I would have felt comfortable not getting induced due to how my gestational diabetes was going and managed. But yeah, I tried pretty much everything, and also looking back on that now too, I wish that I would have just relax a little bit more. We went on like miles and mile walks.
We should have kept track on like how far you actually walked.
Yeah, we walked
probably every day.
Oh, we were walking multiple times a day, every day, walking up hills, because that's what my doctor told me to do. She's like, as soon as contractions start, go curb walk, go walk up hills, like all of those things. And in reality, like I was just mentally and physically exhausting myself, and probably you too. Okay, so contractions I've been having pretty much, well, contractions started Monday. It's now Thursday, January 25th. And I started having contractions on Monday. I got checked. Basically, there's prodromal labor. It's just been prodromal labor this entire time, which is so frustrating. I just really want to meet her. And I'm trying to do everything I can to get contractions to come back. They've stopped, so they start and stop. And I'm just trying to progress best that I can and actually get kicked into real labor. Here is a bump update. Don't mind the stuff covering baby girl's room. I look like I have a bowling ball in me. I just can't believe it. So anyways, I just went on a walk with my mom. We went a little over 2 miles, and I curb stepped like the entire freaking time pretty much. It was a lot, but I'm definitely starting to feel like a little bit crampy, so fingers crossed. I just keep praying. I'm like, okay, God, like, if this lines up with your plan, like, please put me into labor, because I'm just hurting, man. And the prodromal labor is, like, absolutely exhausting. It's just getting to be a lot to handle, like, mentally as well as physically. So, yeah, I just wanted to give a little bit of an update here. And again, baby girl, we are so ready to meet you. So ready to meet you. It was a stressful time because we just had like bags packed and we're waiting for baby to come, and just like, and I was not sleeping because I was having contractions at nighttime like pretty consistently, and they were bad enough that I was having to like get up and walk around and like breathe through them. And should I say that we went to the hospital a couple times.
We went to the hospital a couple times, and we had a membrane sweep.
I'm forgetting things. Okay, so because my prodromal labor.
We had a membrane sweep.
Yes.
I did not have a membrane sweep.
Okay, so I had my 39-week appointment with my OB, and we did a membrane sweep. That shit hurt. It was definitely very uncomfortable. And she said that if the membrane sweep works, if baby is ready and I'm ready, emphasis on if baby is ready, then we should be in labor within 48 hours. I'm like definitely already having contractions. I've been having contractions all night and morning, but like I'm like crampy, which is like, you know, normal with the membrane sweep. So we shall see. I am 2 centimeters dilated now. And if baby doesn't get here this week on her own, we are a scheduled induction for exactly a week from today, Thursday the 15th at 8 a.m.
Thinking that was going to be it, and that was
me too, because I was cramping.
And they were like, it's going to happen in 24 hours.
Yeah.
And it didn't.
Because everyone was like, oh, your body is like ready, but obviously it wasn't, and baby wasn't either. Okay, there's a few things that we went to the hospital for because I thought that I was in labor. So we went, and my contractions stopped as soon as we got to the hospital. So that happened one time, and then another time I thought my water broke, but it didn't. I don't know what happened. So both of those times though were just false alarms. Fast forward through those weeks where prodromal labor just continued. So my due date was February 15th, 2024, and the day before was obviously Valentine's Day. So we had like our last little date together before baby came. So morning of February 15th of the due date, I woke up before you. I woke up so early. I actually just like couldn't really sleep the night before because I was so dang nervous. Take a shower and braid my hair and do all the things. So I did that, and again I was just like so nervous, and I just remember being in the shower just like praying because I was just so nervous and excited, and I was praying over baby, praying for, you know, myself, and just that everything would work out how it was supposed to. How were you feeling in the morning?
I was definitely nervous. The time before, the fake, when we thought it was happening, I was definitely more emotional. Yeah. And then I was like, well, I spent that on a fake visit. And then the actual day, when it came to it, I was like, okay, well, this is obviously it. So I was less emotional, and I was really excited, but I did not know what to expect. That's I think that's like the biggest or the easiest way to describe how I was feeling. I had no idea what to expect.
And like we had kind of talked about like preparation and stuff beforehand, of like we had like my birth plan and all of these things, but I was like brand new into all of my doula stuff and like didn't really have that much like knowledge for you, I feel like, when it came to...
I knew your birth plan to a T.
Yes.
Other than that, the only thing I knew were like the things that I was supposed to do to like alleviate like discomfort and pain, like the things that I could do, like pushing on your hips and like the traction and stuff. Other than that, I knew nothing.
Yeah. For our next birth, we'll both be much more prepared when it comes to birth.
Yeah.
So then we had to be at the hospital at 8 in the morning.
Here's my, oh my gosh, I literally am gonna cry. My final bump date. 40 weeks. Baby's the size of a watermelon. Oh my goodness. Happy due date, baby.
So we went and dropped off our dog at my parents' house.
The next time we are back at home, Paisley's literally freaking out. The next time we're back at home, we'll have a baby with us.
And we went to go get breakfast in the morning at a little like breakfast place that's right across the street from the hospital.
We just dropped off Paisley. This is the last time that she's just our baby.
She's always gonna be our baby.
But just her.
She's not an only child anymore, or she won't be.
How you feeling?
Nervous.
Me too, but I'm excited.
I'm not nervous like I have to do anything. You actually have something to do.
To be honest, I think I'm most nervous for like the first 10 minutes.
First 10 minutes with her, or the first?
No, like the induction part.
Yeah.
Okay, we're off to go get breakfast. Our last little date, just the two of us.
Silver Spur. Super excited.
And I was crying. I was so excited and nervous, and I just like literally couldn't believe it that it was the day. It was just so, it was really weird, like I feel like knowing that like that was the day, like, you know, like versus like spontaneous birth, like I mean I guess you have like a time frame but you just don't really like know, versus this it was like almost, it was so nerve-wracking because we were like, oh my gosh, like this is happening, this is it. So I feel like that was kind of crazy.
I felt like it would have been better if it had just been like a it's happening instead of like the bit.
Well, that was what I wanted. But yeah, it didn't work out that way and that was okay. And then we got to the hospital and they got us all checked into our room. We had to put the IV in me and they could not do it. My veins kept collapsing. They had to bring in, what was it called, like an IV team?
It was, yeah, it was like the IV specialist or whatever, and he came in and used like a thing that was like, when he put it on your hand, you could see the veins on, like it like showed through your skin.
Yeah, and then those blue tubes, and they had to go into my arm right here, and it was like a super, it ended up being such a bad spot to be because when she was born and I was holding her, like I had to put like extra like blankets basically on my arm so that way it wasn't stabbing her in the head. So that was definitely super annoying, but that took a total of like a couple of hours because they just could not get it in. So then once they finally got that done, my doctor came around and started me on misoprostol and gave me a Foley balloon and just to start off labor. So I was, I think, just a few centimeters dilated and still having like my regular contractions that I was having. Hi, baby. Hi.
She's in baby jail.
Oh my gosh. Bug. Hi.
Wow. She's just playing.
So then they inserted the balloon, gave me the medicine to basically just start my uterus to start contracting. And from there, things started to pick up fairly quickly.
Oh, yep, it's happening. And then it was like, boom. That was like a miserable process and way more gnarly than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, so the actual like insertion of the balloon did not hurt. That's what I was most nervous about, because that's how I knew that like we were gonna induce labor, because I didn't want to have Pitocin if I could avoid it. Having it in was like actually just so uncomfortable. I couldn't sit down whatsoever. Like I couldn't lay down in the bed, I couldn't sit down, I couldn't even like use the restroom. I had to pee standing up in the shower because it was just so much pressure and so uncomfortable, so I couldn't sit. I was having a hard time like walking around, and my cervix is really sensitive, so we walked around a lot in the beginning because like there wasn't really anything else that I could do, and it was just like cramps. Like that's what I remember feeling, was a lot of like cramping. And we were walking around. There was a like labor courtyard at the hospital, which was a really like sweet and nice area. Like it was good just to be outside. It was a little bit cold, but I just remember trying to like kind of like be out there, and that was really nice, and just like walking around. But as like contractions really started to pick up like fairly quickly, I'd say, like once that thing was in, right?
I felt like once it went in, it was like shortly thereafter that you like the whole cycle like actually started.
I had to keep taking like the miso a little bit like around the clock just to like continue to get my cervix ready, and I was planning to kind of be able to like sit and rest and relax during early labor, so it was like definitely challenging that I wasn't able to do that.
You like didn't recover at all. Like all of your energy was spent trying to get this to happen, and then then the energy you had left was spent because you were uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was definitely a hard process, and I think that I made it harder on myself than it needs to be, but just because I didn't know. Again, like I didn't have the knowledge that I have now when it comes to birth or induction. So I think that, again, I would have done things differently looking back at it. We went and tried to get into the tub, and I think that that actually was the thing that was helpful the most in the tub, because I was able to, it was really hard to be able to sit down in there, so sitting in the tub kind of helped relax like my muscles, and it felt better. And I was in there for, gosh, how long do you think we were in the tub for?
It'd be like 40 minutes.
Yeah, we were in there for a while, and the balloon actually ended up, and so they said that like you'll be able to give it a tug and it will like just kind of come out. So I just kept tugging on it, like not hard but enough where I'm like checking it constantly because I just wanted that dang thing out. And I remember I called before we went to the tub, the nurse, and I was like,
I think it's close. I think
well, a couple times I was like, I think it come out, and also like, is it normal? Like I can't sit, I can't move, like I think this thing is in wrong. And she was like, no honey, that's normal. And I was like,
bummed.
Heck, okay. So that also just kind of discouraged me, because I was like, this is gonna be it. And they said that the balloon could stay in for like 12 hours. It was like the usual, and I was like, 12 hours of not being able to sit down or lay down sounded awful. But so the tub though helped me relax, and I stood up and it was like starting to come out. And so that was when we called the nurse, and I went back to the room, and she was able to pull it out. And then from there, my doctor came in and checked me. I think I was like 6 centimeters or 5 centimeters dilated, somewhere around there. Not that it really matters a whole lot. And she was like, I think this is a great time to break your water. And I was like, okay, sure. Because at this point, I was just so happy to be done with the balloon. So she broke my water for me, and that was just like a really warm gush, and it was a lot of water. I couldn't see it, but I could feel it.
It was a lot.
It was a lot, and it felt weird. Not painful or anything like that, but it broke the water. And from there, that was when shite hit the fan.
When stuff got crazy.
Yeah. My contractions then started to pick up speed.
Ooh. 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 Ooh.
Oh, okay. Oh. Oh. What they think kind of happened was when she broke my water, my body just like kicked into high gear. So I started having contractions where I was like, okay, I'm really starting to feel these ones now, and I was really starting to have to breathe through them. But they were so intense, so fast. They started to be just a couple minutes apart from each other, and it just got really intense. And I think that I just started to kind of like panic because it like snuck up on me where things were going like really well and smooth, and like I was doing great handling everything, and then all of a sudden it was like, okay, like this is a lot. I just remember like bits and pieces, like time feels warped to me. Like I definitely like kind of just like internalized things. I think like as I started to get to that point, I started to feel a lot of pressure.
It went from like, I'm okay, I can do this, to this is a little bit more than what I expected.
Yeah.
And then we kind of ran out of things that we could do.
So you were doing a lot of counter pressure and like traction, which like that helped a lot. Tyler was my rock, and like even from the point of like just like the balloon going in, there was a lot of like swaying and me leaning on you and gripping you and stuff that like I just, so as the contraction got more intense, I just didn't remember to do any of the things that I had learned to do. And again, I didn't prepare myself, literally not nearly enough with all of the information that I know now. I'd say I was prepared 15%. I had like, you know, my breathing techniques, but if you're not mentally prepared, you can't and don't really practice and know how to calm yourself down, deep breathing does nothing. So, and I was trying, but I was so tense and I couldn't relax. All of a sudden, my contractions started reaching this point where I was like, okay, like I'm really feeling these contractions, and then I was seriously feeling my sciatica, and I started getting spasms in my back, down both my legs, and I couldn't get into the tub again because I was getting to be like too far in labor. So we went and got in the shower, and I tried the shower
very short
a minute, 2 minutes. I remember getting in the shower and being like, heck no.
There was a lot of crying already happening.
Yeah, it was so intense, and I couldn't catch a break because what was happening was I think for the most part what I was complaining about was my back. Like it was just so, it was so intense. Things that I had started to learn on like laboring positions and stuff, because that was the thing that I paid attention to when I should have been paying attention to the mental aspect of things, but it was the labor positions. And so all I kept thinking was like, okay, like trying to make the position better off my back, but the problem was not her positioning, it was literally just my like back injury. And so that was my big thing, I think. And we got in the shower, we tried like the shower head, and I tried just like, you know, everything in there, and I just remember I was making noises that like it was just like echoing in there, and it was just making it so much worse, and it was so uncomfortable. And I think that was like the hardest point in labor for me. What were your thoughts during all of that?
I had to like change into like a bathing suit.
Yeah, to get in the shower with me.
Yeah, by the time I changed into my bathing suit, you had been in the shower for like 30 or 45 seconds, and I get under the water, pretty much just get myself wet, and you were like, nope, it's not helping, I need to get out. And I was like, okay, so you got out and immediately went back out, and I'm like still wet, not dried
I remember, okay, yeah, and by the way, I forgot to mention, so all of this, from the time my water broke to this point, what, you think it was like 2 hours?
Yeah.
It was a really short amount of time this was happening, and my contractions were around 45 seconds apart, with back spasms in between contractions and during contractions. So that was what like sent me into a complete mental panic and spiral. And like you couldn't get me to calm down. My mom was there, like she couldn't get me to calm down. And I think too, like seeing you guys like starting to be like, like this is a lot, like also like shook me, because I was like, yeah, like they're feeling it, I'm feeling it. Like it was just recipe for disaster, I think. And so, and then at that point my mom was like, you're starting to like bear down, and I was like, no I'm not, because I think I was just like in denial of trying to figure out like what was happening. And I came out of that shower and was like, get me the epidural. We had to take a little nursing break, so if we're repetitive, I'm sorry. I remember having you getting dressed, and it was a very short amount of time, and my mom was in the room with us, and I was just like holding her because it just hurt so bad and I just needed like somebody to be holding on to. But again, I think that like my mental state put me in that place and made it hurt more in like a panic. So I'm not saying that for anyone listening who's going to be induced, not to like freak you out. It was literally just because I wasn't mentally prepared enough for labor.
You made the decision that you wanted the epidural.
Yes.
Right there. And then they pretty much were like, all right, well, there's 4 other people that are also like, their labor is happening right now, and the anesthesiologist or the person that admits the epidural was making his rounds. So you pretty much just had to sit there and wait for like probably like another 5 to 10 minutes.
So how were you feeling during all of this?
Well, obviously I realized that I had no control over the situation, especially then. Was excited because I could tell that it was happening. I also thought that I would be more like averse to you being like in pain. Not that makes me sound like a horrible husband, but like I didn't like feel bad for you because I knew that you were capable of doing it. But I was like, oh my goodness, this is gnarly.
Yeah.
And so I was excited because I could tell that I was like, okay, if this ain't the end, then we're in for a rude awakening, and it was the end.
Yeah, that's when I was trying to figure out like getting in any position to like push.
Speaking of pushing, he's gonna go poop.
I'm already pooping today. Into any position to push, my back was just a wreck. And the anesthesiologist finally came. That was a doozy.
You were holding onto the nurse's like arms.
Because you have to sit down. So you have to sit down on the bed and you have to sit on the edge of the bed with like your back hunched, and that's really challenging to do when you're having contractions every like 30 seconds. And it was definitely super challenging, and I just remember yelling like, I can't sit still, like I cannot sit still. And then what? And
you apologized to the nurses for being like, I think you had said that you were like, I'm sorry for being so mean, and you were like
afterwards,
right then.
Right then,
because you were obviously, you had like a moment to like relax, because it was like 45 seconds to like like kind of get yourself geared up for the next one. But yeah, you like apologized to her, and she was like, that's okay, because you were like in her face being like, I can't.
Yelling at her. And I think I was like death gripping her too.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I know that I felt bad because I was yelling at her, I was gripping her. It was, I think, like it was hard to do. Then I got the epidural, and I think that the epidural was honestly one of the most challenging parts. It was not painful. I didn't even feel the needle. I felt nothing because of my dang back spasms. But I think that I moved during one of the, or during it, which you're not supposed to move. It just like started tingling in my back is what I remember, because I think that he hit a nerve from myself moving. Then when I was checked, like right as I got the epidural, I remember having to lay on my back, and I think that that was the hardest part because the epidural takes like 15 to 20 minutes to actually kick in. And so when and you can't be walking around obviously, because you know you're not gonna have feeling in your legs once it kicks in. So I was laying on my back during the contractions and like couldn't really move, and that was the worst part by far, was laying on that bed, not being able to move.
One thing I do remember is that when you got the epidural, we kind of like all acknowledged that it was like, okay, every contraction, you're one more contraction closer to.
Yeah.
So that was one thing that we said, and you were like that was like the only thing that you were holding on to. And I'm one of those people that I'm like, let's just ride it out and, you know, think of like milestones to make myself feel better. And I was like, every contraction that happens, she's closer to being completely numb, and then it's gonna be so easy. And then
it was a lot better once I got the epidural, for sure. I was like, I don't regret it at all. I think it was 1000% like what I needed in that moment. And I remember my doctor checking my cervix at that point, and I was 9 centimeters dilated. I think that like my extreme state of panic was like my transition phase, which most women, that is like when they end up having kind of like that like make it or break it moment, is during transition, and that was mine too. So anyways, and then during a contraction, so after I was checked I was at 9, during contractions I think I was at like 9.5 centimeters, so they started having me do like some practice pushes once the epidural started to kick in, so we did that for a few times. They did for a couple hours because things started to slow down a lot, so then I think they gave me Pitocin after that to augment the process.
Oh, I owe you. Oh, wow. Did you say, will you switch me? Switch this out of. Sign you out. Yeah. Yeah. What are you gonna do to that?
And then at like 11:45 p.m. I think it was time to start pushing.
There we go.
Oh my God.
Caitlin! It was not a shoulder work. One year before. Yep, good. We got feet. Good job, guys. Okay. There you go. Whatever you need. Do this. Perfect. There we go.
Oh my gosh.
There we go. Cough it up. There we go. Alright, and then you get you some scissors. You're going to cut right in between, okay? There's no nerves or anything.
Okay.
It can be a little, yep, go ahead right here. There can be a little splatter, it's okay. Congratulations. Keep pushing on your belly one more time. I know, it's worse. It's worse than pushing, this part. Alright, all done. Breathing, checking pretty good.
Amazing.
It's so beautiful.
Sweet old lovey. He's a sweet lovey girl. You're a crown girl.
We go right.
Are you
right
crown
here.
girls?
Yeah, and I have a.
You're a crown
You
girl.
guys have an essay.
That's so sad.
Oh, baby.
A CT. I would. Let me take it. I'm gonna put your armbands on.
She loves her mama.
I did do coach pushing on my back. Again, things I think I just would have done differently, but I was so numb from the epidural on my left side that I could not move or feel my leg whatsoever. So I couldn't even push on my side. I couldn't do anything because my leg was just like dead weight basically. I could not feel anything on my left side. And yeah, so then I pushed for 30 minutes and out came our buggy girl.
Hi, baby.
Oh, baby girl.
Hi. Don't tell me she sleeps like you. With her eyes open. So cute. Cute.
beautiful.
So pretty, baby.
And so cute. Bo, we're home. Daddy, how are you feeling?
Feeling very blessed.
We made it.
This is your sister, P.
Who's Dad?
Our girls have met.